Hello, in this video I'm answering the three main questions that I keep getting on Morby Stack Method transactions. Make sure that you watch my video on the Stack Method and my mini series. So I'm gonna phrase these questions a little bit different. Like people ask me these questions a different way all the time, but at the end they all mean the same. So the first question that I get a ton is, how do I know how much down payment I can offer the seller? Or another way to say, how do I know what the limit is as far as terms that I can offer the seller, like seller finance terms? So as you can see, I'm sharing my iPad right here, and the first thing that we need to check is if there is enough equity. Okay, so there is this formula that I like to use. It's what I call the equity check formula. So here is this formula. Write it down. So LTV, and I like to do 70% of LTV. Now, what does LTV even mean? That's why I suggest that you watch my stack method, so you know what I mean here. But just to say it real quick, what you do is you get a brand new loan, an investor loan, a DSCR loan to buy the property, or to be able to give the terms that the seller is asking for. So I like to start at 70%. That is the average investors get on properties, and that is just a starting point, okay, to use a conservative LTV. So LTV at 70% must be higher than down payment to seller plus mortgage balance, and I'm gonna put it right here, plus closing costs plus fees. Okay, so that's the formula. So just to use like easy numbers, let's say the purchase price is 1 million. So that means that our limit between all of these things, okay, is 70%, or $700,000. Now, what I suggest, when you see people offer 50% down payment to seller, the reason that is because it's free and clear. There is no mortgage. Okay? So the more they owe on the mortgage, the less that you gotta offer down payment to seller. Okay? And vice versa. If it's free and clear, you can even offer up to 60%. Okay? So what I like to see is between, I'm gonna put it right here, down payment to seller plus mortgage balance. I like to see max 60%. Why is that? Why not 70%? Because you haven't taken into account the closing costs and transactional lending fees. I'm going to put here TL, transactional lending fees. If you are direct to seller, or if it's an off-market property, there are no agents involved, I like to do 5 to 6% of closing costs. And the transactional lender is going to charge you, this is what I charge. I'm the transactional lender on Morby Stack Method transactions. 2.5% of the DSCR down payment plus closing costs. So it's about another 10%, something like that. So yeah, I like to do down payment to seller plus mortgage balance 60%. And that's how you start playing with the numbers, okay? If they owe 30% down payment, you know that your limit or your max allowable offer down payment to sell is 30%. If it's free and clear, okay, 50%, 60% of, I would say it's just too much, 60%, but it's just like playing with the numbers again, and just staying below that 70% right here. Okay, so now there are two situations that happen when offering seller finance to the seller. Sometimes you will get a seller that says, from the down payment that you are giving me, I'm gonna use that money to pay off the mortgage, and then whatever is left, it goes into my pocket. Okay, that's situation number one. I just told you. And situation number two is, I want to receive, let's say for example, 100,000 net in my pocket after paying off the mortgage. Okay, so let's say for example they owe on the mortgage 300k, okay, and the seller tells you, I want $100,000 after paying the mortgage. So that means that with the loan amount that you get, you pay the mortgage balance and then the seller's down payment. And in the first situation, that just means that, let's say, hey, at the end it seems the same thing, but I mean, phrase it a little bit different. I always suggest that you go on number one, that you use the down payment to seller to pay the mortgage, and then whatever is left is net to the seller. It's just gonna depend on the situation, but that's the route that I suggest you take, okay? So yeah, this is to answer the first question. The second question that I get a lot, I'm gonna put it right here, like a clean template, is how do I know how much I'm gonna get in cash at closing? Remember that when you do this transaction, the buyers get what is called like paid at closing. It's not like paid, but it's actually cash that you receive from the proceeds. But at the end of the day is money that you owe. So you get paid, but I mean you can use that money from the proceeds for renovations, holding costs, all of that stuff. If you don't know what I mean, like I suggest you watch my Stack Method YouTube video. So second is, how do I know how much I'm gonna get paid at closing? Cashback. So there is another formula that I have for you, and that formula is the seller finance portion must be higher than DSCR down payment plus closing costs plus transactional lending fees. So let's say for example the $1 million purchase price example, the DSCR down payment in this situation would be 30% because it's the remaining money down payment. So that means 30% right here. And then closing costs I like to do 5% and 2.5% from, DSCR down payment, closing costs for right now to make it quick. Let's say for example in this situation, let's say $1 million purchase price, the seller wants, let's say they owe 300,000 on their mortgage, and the seller wants 100k down payment net at closing. That means that between these two, easy math, between these two is 400k. So that means that the remaining equity is on seller finance. So this means 600k in seller finance. So that's just the remaining equity. So this means that let's use the formula. 600k must be higher than 300k, which is the DSCR down payment, plus closing cost of 5%. Let me pull my calculator right here. So, that should be easy. I don't know why I'm doing it, because it's 1 million times 0.05, 50,000, 50k, plus the transactional lending fees. Let's do the exact numbers so you can see, which is 2.5% from 2.5%. Oh, sorry about that. From the DSCR down payment, which is 300,000, plus closing cost, which is 350, times 0.025, and we get 8,750 of transactional lending fee. So let's add all those numbers together. So we get 350 plus 50,000 plus 8,750, okay, we get 408,750. 600k here, seller finance. So 600k minus 408,750. This equals the cashback, 191,250. Cashback at closing. This is what the buyer is gonna get paid. Hold on. At closing. Cashback. Boom. Easy formula, right? So if you can use, while you have this conversation with the seller in negotiation, the first formula, boom, that's all you need. And you can use the second formula like after you have more concrete numbers, just to see and check how much you're gonna get paid at closing, known as the cashback. And the third question I get a ton is, and it comes together with, how do I know how much I'm gonna cash flow on the property? Okay, how much can I offer the seller monthly payments on the seller finance? So I'm gonna put it right here. I like to call this performance, and it's all about reverse engineering. Okay, you want to know, okay, you're looking at this single family house, this multifamily RV park. Okay, of course, for multifamily RV park, you want to get like the actual financials that the sellers have right now. Ideally, they are not like mom and pop owners, but that way you can get like an estimate of how much is getting in income, the P&L, and like other stuff. Okay, but let's say single family house, you want to get either currently rented out, or you want to look at comps and see how similar properties are renting out in the area. And yeah, you can run different numbers. I suggest that you start seeing, I'm gonna write it down, rental income. You want to check first how is as a long-term rental, how is as a mid-term rental. Also, you need to check, is there any HOA? If not, no HOA, perfect, because it allows you to do other types of rental. Long-term rental, mid-term rental. Hey, what about co-living, renting by the room? How many bedrooms can I add? Okay, and bathrooms. So you just reverse engineer. You can always start as a long-term rental, and because you will have two main payments. You will have, like, I'm gonna say, debt. Main debt. You will have the DSCR, principal and interest. I'm gonna put it like PI, and then also you want to get the taxes a year, so you get them a monthly taxes, insurance, and also you will get this, like, goes together, known as the PITI. Okay, you also gonna get, I'm gonna put the number 1. Number 2 is the seller finance payment. Now, a lot of times, because of the sizable down payment that you're giving the seller, you can be pretty aggressive with the seller finance payment. Like, a lot of times I'm seeing investors get like no payments for a couple of years, 3, 4, 5 years, no payments, or very low monthly payments, and they are like principal only payments, like other way to say zero interest rate. So you will have the seller finance payment, and this is gonna depend on how good you are negotiating. Okay, seller finance, and I also like to add 10% for reserves. I like to add another 10% for property management. I have seen people do sometimes 5%. Okay, and that's it. So if you add all of this is what I call expenses. Of course, rental income must be higher than expenses, and this is what we call cash flow, net cash flow. Boom. There you go. These are the 3 main questions that I get. Hopefully that this makes more sense. If there is any other questions that you would like me to do a video about or answer it on a video, please make a comment down below. And that is it. So I will see you on the next video. If this was helpful, give it a like, give me a follow, and I will see you again on the next video.